Hello and welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, I just want to say a massive thank you for the amount of support and positive comments I got about the last video. It's definitely given me the motivation to carry on and keep doing these videos. I know there's been a bit of a gap between this video and the last one. That's just due to bad timing. I had a week off work and I was very busy that week, so I didn't have any time to record or edit or do anything with the YouTube videos, so that's why there's been such a big gap. But I'm finally back on the grind, I guess, of making these videos. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have anything else to add other than this is Tekken 2. Let's get straight into it. So seeing as this is a sequel, that must mean the first game was well received, and that is a bit of an understatement. Tekken 1 got great review scores across the board, with one of the lowest still being a 7.5 out of 10, which is by IGN. Of course it was IGN. Not only did it review well, it sold well too, being the first ever PlayStation game to sell over 1 million units. Not bad for Sex Dolls Bash 1995. With that much success, of course there would be a sequel on the way. Well, Tekken 2 was actually already out in Japanese arcades even before Tekken 1 released worldwide on the PS1. So yeah, that means when a Tekken game releases on console in the West, some kid in Japan already knows that every single combo to every single character in the sequel. But Tekken 2 would finally come to the PS1 on October 2nd, 1996 here in Europe. That means me and Tekken 2 came out in the same year. One would become one of the most iconic fighting games in the world, while the other would struggle to make a basic ham sandwich almost 26 years later. I think I need to add a bit of spice to this sandwich. Need a bit of mayo. How's this happened again? Every time. Oh, I can't do this. Now sadly, Tekken 2 doesn't have a minigame on the boot up screen. That does mean the game loads almost instantly. But if you stick around to watch the intro movie, you'll be treated to one of the most 90s things I've ever seen. The intro does show how far the technology has come in the short time compared to Tekken 1's nightmare fuel. The characters look way more detailed and the music is great too. The only thing I have a problem with is Nina's hair. How does it look like cooked spaghetti and uncooked spaghetti at the same time? And there's a second intro, which I don't really want to talk about. Oh no, here it is, here it is! Okay, that's really uncomfortable. That makes me feel really uncomfortable. But hey, look. I pissed myself though, did I? Haha, dickheads. One of the biggest problems with Tekken 1 was its lack of modes, and I can happily say that Tekken 2 fixes that. Well, sort of, let me explain. You see, Tekken does have 4 new modes, these being Team Battle, Time Attack, Survival Mode and Practice Mode. And of course on top of that the returning Arcade Mode and 2-player mode. 6 altogether, which is brilliant. Time Attack is a bit of a pointless mode, it's just Arcade Mode with a timer, which doesn't make sense because Arcade Mode has a timer. But to register a time on the leaderboard you can only do this in Time Attack. Why have a timer at all in Arcade then? I think this was just a way for the developers to have an extra mode on the main menu. Cutting corners, are we Namco? If you want to know a little more about cutting corners and being lazy, go watch 90% of my old videos. Team Battle Mode is definitely the most unique of the new modes. It basically plays out like a WWE Survivor Series match, with you getting to pick a dream team of Tekken fighters. Here's my team, I call them the Sex Pests. You can have a team of up to 8 fighters, with each fighter getting a single life bar. Once they're defeated, they're eliminated, being replaced by the next fighter, until one team has no fighters left. It adds another layer to multiplayer, being able to go against friends with your favourite team of characters. Survival Mode is pretty self-explanatory. You get an infinite amount of rounds to go through, but only one health bar, which only builds back up a tiny bit after each stage, until you're finally defeated, which for me doesn't take long. This is also a great way for people back in the day to compete with each other if they only had one controller, battling it out to be on top of the leaderboard. Practice mode is actually pretty interesting. On the surface it's something you can use to practice different combos with different characters, but it actually gives you a lot more information, like the damage you've dealt with a single attack and how many hits you've managed to pull off in your combos and the total amount of damage caused by these combos, to find out what is your character's most deadly attack. It also shows you the button inputs you've been using at the bottom of the screen to better understand what you need to be doing to pull off these combos. It also has a replay button so you can watch these back, which for some reason I absolutely love, especially when your character's just standing there doing nothing. Arcade mode and 2-player mode are still exactly the same, not much has changed. You still fight a sub boss specific to your character and a final boss, and you can still win fruit in 2-player mode. What, you think I'm going to do the fruit joke I did last time? You saw the state of my arse in the last clip. Are you doing this again? Oh, for fuck's sake. Clow, get the Sudocrem. Well then, it's time to pick up from where the story left off in Tekken 1, and of course that means to tell you the canon ending. It's Kazuya's ending, of course it is. Who else was it going to be? Fucking Wang. So yeah, Kazuya finally returned the gift his father gave him at the age of 5 and yeeted him off the same cliff he was thrown off of 20 years before. So does Kazuya get sent to prison for murder for this? No, he gets to take over his father's company because that's how Tekken works. Sadly, Kazuya decides that toasters aren't good enough for the Mishima Zaibatsu and turns it into a multinational, highly illegal monopoly, participating in things like drug trafficking, animal experimentation and selling dodgy fire sticks so everyone can watch Bournemouth versus Southampton at 3 PM on a Saturday. Honestly, I think he should get a Nobel Prize for the last one. The reason Kazuya's been doing all this dodgy stuff is because all his life he's been controlled by something called the Devil Gene, giving him the strength to fight and take everything from his father, and now the devil has full control of the Zaibatsu. Kazuya decides to announce the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2 with a cash prize of $1 trillion, with the hopes of drawing out Heihachi Mishima, who is back to take everything that is rightfully his. Tekken 2 also has the same great bios in its manual for each of the main starting characters, and of course they are just as fun as the last game. Nina still fucking loves Tom from Tom and Jerry, and one of the new characters, Lei Wulong, loves Sony's products, because of course he does. And Jack's hobbies is overhauling himself.
What do you mean by that?
Of course there's FMV endings, but this time every single character gets one, all with great visuals and great music. Haha, but no pissing myself this time though. Chocolate mousse. It was chocolate mousse. Tekken 2's gameplay is very similar to its predecessor, offering a few improvements here and there. Playing it, it does seem like pulling off combos is a lot smoother and juggling your opponent is easy to pull off, making learning each character's moveset a lot more rewarding. Backstepping seems a lot more fluid to block attacks and stops you from being absolutely demolished by the AI. Speaking of the AI, it's no slouch either. They seem to hit more effective combos and act a lot more like real players than just AI using the same moves. I think that AI learns as well what moves you're going to use. Here's an example. I was using Yoshimitsu's high kicks a lot in this playthrough, and when I got to this round, King ducks before I even throw an attack. It's learning. That's it, okay. It knows too much. It knows too much. I have to do it. I have to do it. It knows too much. Ah. Crazy. I don't know, I'm not dealing with that. Ah, fuck it, this thing goes. Tekken 2's gameplay doesn't offer that much of an improvement over its predecessor, but you can clearly see where the improvements are in the movement and the fluidity of the combos and attacks. Tekken 2's roster has been beefed up a bit from the last game, with all of the characters from the first game returning, with a whopping 8 characters being added, which adds up to a massive 25 characters on the roster. This includes Jun Kazama, a wildlife activist who joins the tournament to investigate Kazuya's involvement in animal cruelty. I mean, can you blame her? That is some pretty damning evidence right there. And Lei Wulong, a Hong Kong detective also investigating Kazuya. I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Check his hard drive.
Tekken 2 also sees the series' first secret characters, which can only be unlocked after beating stage 3 in arcade mode on Great, which means finishing the stage with little to no health. It's one of those things where it's really easy to do if you don't even try it, but if you try it, trust me, you'll be there for hours. But thankfully on this playthrough, I did it straight away. But in the end, you finally unlock Alex and Roger, animals that have been tested on and have been taught how to fight by the Mishima Zaibatsu, Roger being a kangaroo, which is a bit believable, and then Alex a velociraptor, because of course he is. Can we just talk about this clip for a second though? That's a kangaroo hitting a velociraptor with a powerbomb. What even is this game anymore? Other new characters include Bake, a taekwondo instructor who enters the tournament to challenge Law, and Bruce, a kickboxer who is also Kazuya's bodyguard. And that leaves us with the last 2 final new characters, that being Devil and Angel. Angel is only described online as just a mysterious entity connected to Kazuya, and of course the Devil himself, who looks a lot more intimidating than the last game. He looks like what would happen if Barney the dinosaur listened to too much Andrew Tate. I love every single character they added to this game, each one adding something new to the roster, whether that being a fighting style, personality, or even a brand new species. They do all a great job making Tekken 2 a worthy sequel. Alex and Roger aren't the only 2 secrets in the game. There are actually 2 more to find, that being Big Head mode and Wireframe mode. Big head mode is pretty easy to do. All you have to do is hold down the select button when your character is doing their victory pose, and then the next round their body gets bigger and their voice becomes more high pitched, which is hilarious to do with some of the bigger, more intimidating characters like Kuma, Jack and also Devil.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass, the sun is still out.
Wireframe mode is actually pretty cool. It's a first person mode where you play from behind your character and get to see the game in a new perspective. It can be unlocked by unlocking all characters and then holding L1 and L2 when selecting the character until the beginning of the fight. Honestly, it's a great concept until you play it and then it gets a bit disorientating. Just be thankful it's not in VR. Come on then you fucker, come on, let's have it. Let's fucking have it. I'm okay. Right then, it's time to talk about my favourite part of any of these games, and of course that is the stages and music, and man, they've hit it out the park once again. Everything from the intro FMV music, the character select screen, and of course the stage music itself manages to stick with you with that 90s nostalgic feel. The stages have a great variety this time round, with some having an upbeat feel to them like Michelle's stage or Jun's stage, while you have some dark and intimidating stages like King's and Yoshimitsu's. Notice how I'm calling the stages by the characters' names? Well, that's because almost every single character gets a stage to themselves, with its own music, with only some characters sharing a stage. That's a whopping 23 stages in total. This adds a bit more to the characters as well, with the location and music being used to show off more of their personality, and here are some of my favourites. And of course I need to pick my favourite one, and that would have to be the final stage where you take on the Devil. Everything from the intimidating music and creepy mirror effect to the actual round start screen with the Devil's face replaced in the background. It honestly to this day still creeps me out just as much as it did when I first played it, and this is the perfect boss level. Overall, Tekken 2 did everything a sequel should, offering more modes, characters and stages than its predecessor, and also making leaps forward in the gameplay department. Of course, just like the last time, I will be putting Tekken 2 into the tier list, and I think it has to get A tier. It just feels like a more solid version of the first game, a couple more characters, a couple more stages, just all round better version of Tekken 1, and it just needs a little bit more improvement in the gameplay department to get it to that S tier. But yeah, A tier for Tekken 2. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm really sorry about the delay on this video. It's taken a lot more longer than I thought it would to get it out. The next one will be out as soon as possible. I am definitely going to be working on it straight away as soon as this video is done. And yeah, it's definitely a big one. The next game, you do not want to miss it. Not much else to say from me other than if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and follow me on social media, Twitter and Facebook. Links will be down in the description down below, and there's not much else to say. Hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you for when I talk about Tekken 3, which is definitely a big step up. Wait until you see that. But yeah, other than that, there's not much else to say. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you when I see you.